Oops, left my green screen up. Oh, silly me. So we're going to be covering 3 topics today. We're going to be talking about the new terrain rules, how aircraft work, and then we're going to have a general chatter about the new box set that was revealed yesterday and all the new stuff that's kind of like coming with it. So on Thursday, there was another daily live stream from GW. It's something I wanted to cover in the last video, but I didn't get a chance to because I was ranting too much. But they've kind of gone over some of the new terrain rules that we've been teased with, but they haven't really explained what anything does. They've kind of gone, oh, some terrain bits are obscuring, and we're like, well, what does obscuring mean? And they're like, you'll find out soon. And I'm like, okay then, great, you're telling me nothing. So they said that terrain is broken down into 4 categories. 4 categories. We have hills, basically do nothing. I mean, they shouldn't do anything, so that's fine. They basically said a hill is just part of the battlefield, it's part of the floor, it's not going to provide cover. So as long as all terrain is actually defined as a hill when it is a hill, because what you found in ITC was they were defining crates and stuff as hills, and because crates can't really give you cover because it's a crate, but at the same time, is it really just a hill? No. But then you also got Imperial Knights walking up crates because it's a hill, so you can technically walk up it. So it's all a bit weird. So it does sound like they've addressed crates as a type of terrain, but they're not hills, which is great. So the other 3 types, we've got obstacles, and these are the things like barricades, walls, etc. like that. We've got area terrain, which is probably going to be your most common terrain, and then we have buildings, which is like your fortifications, what they meant. So as I said, for hills do nothing. It's purely to get elevation or not, right? So if you're behind it and you can't be seen, then you can't be shot, and it's true line of sight. But if you can be seen, it doesn't matter. It's for elevation. So if you're on a hill and you're getting shot at, nothing will happen. You're just on a hill. It's just part of the floor essentially. Obstacles are the next category. So I said these are like walls, barricades. They use the obstacles are light cover for infantry, beasts, and swarms. And you might be asking, what's light cover? And I'll be saying, you haven't looked at the article, have you? Light cover is essentially what we have now. So they're defined, if you're in cover, you get a +1 to your armor save from ranged weapons, then that's light cover. So that's basically what it is. They've also defined a new type of cover called heavy cover. Heavy cover is quite a controversial one. A lot of people don't like the sound of it, but let me break it down for you. You get +1 to your save in combat. However, if you're being attacked by someone who charged you, then you don't get cover. So essentially, when you charge, you ignore cover now. And a lot of people are thinking this is a bit weird, and I agree. It is a bit strange, kind of, at first, but it's really easy to work out how the rule works. It just doesn't sound like it should work like that. If it was neither unit got a cover save, that'd probably make more sense to most people. But currently, if I'm in heavy cover and someone charges me, I don't get the heavy cover save, but they do when I strike back in retaliation. So it's a bit interesting. Don't know if I like it or not. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Do you like heavy cover? Does it sound weird? Does it sound like it's a typo? Is it going to get FAQ'd day 1? But again, this is all in isolation. They're only drip feeding it this as right now, so there might be more to explain what heavy cover means or what cover in general means, but we'll see. They've also said that all of these rules are linked to keywords, and a piece of terrain can have as many keywords as you like. So you can give something light and heavy cover at the same time, and you can make it obscuring and scalable or whatever these other words mean. Which leads on to the next rule, obscuring. Again, quite controversial. I've been seeing a lot of interesting takes on the way this rule is going to work. If this terrain feature is at least 5 inches in height, then models cannot see through or over this terrain feature. This means that one model is not visible to another if you cannot draw a straight line 1mm in thickness between them without it passing through or over any part of this terrain feature. The height of the terrain feature is measured from the highest point on that terrain feature. So this is quite an interesting one because you do have to start looking at terrain as being abstract. And there's a couple of things that we're going to have to consider, and I'm hoping that are addressed in the book. First of all, it's got to be at least 5 inches in height. And you measure to the tallest part. So if you have, I'm going to hopefully mock one up, if you have like a little tiny wall and then the same wall that goes up 12 inches, like 1mm thick, then the rest of that wall is obscuring now, which is quite interesting. And again, it's abstract compared to what ITC used to do, will do, I don't know, probably not anymore. ITC have essentially bottom level blocks line of sight. So if there's a building and it's got windows or doors, blocks line of sight, you pretend they're not there. They're all blocked in. You know, it's rubble, boarded up, whatever. But that's what they use currently in the ITC. That's kind of like and at Warhammer World, they use this rule as well. They write it in a different way, but they use the same rule. So this rule is widely adopted. So this obscuring sounds like it's taking bottom level blocks line of sight, but to a whole new level. So if you're behind a piece of cover that's 5 inches high, then nothing can see you over the top or around it if it touches it. So if you just miss it, then you can just see it without it touching the building, you can still see. But if you have to cross over the building, go through the building, or go over it, then you can't see. They say it represents explosions, dust, debris flying around and everything like that, and you can't see anything. They also say that models that are on or within this terrain feature can be seen and targeted normally. Aircraft models and models with a wound characteristic of 18 or more are visible and can be targeted even if this terrain feature is in between it and the firing model. Note the reverse is not true. So essentially, if you've got an Imperial Knight behind a piece of cover and I can see over my 5-inch piece of terrain, I can shoot him, but the Imperial Knight can't shoot me back. So that's essentially what it is, because you can see this because it's massive, but when he turns to look at you, you're a little dude, can't see you anymore. Where are you? Where are the bullets coming from? No idea. Hey, are you gonna shoot those guys over there? I don't see them. It's 5 inches, so...
No, I don't think I will.
Okay then. Wait, is that Hellstorm, dude?
お前はもう死んでいる。
Oh, those guys.
何?
gotta go, But again, so it's quite interesting. As I said, there's a lot of interesting take, and it is quite a cool rule, but at the same time a little bit strange. And I think we need to address what counts as within and what doesn't. Again, if in ITC, if the bottom level blocks line of sight, then my Space Marine can stand in this position and not be seen. He's on the bottom level behind a wall, but the windows block line of sight. So he's behind a wall and he can't be seen. Where if he stands further back, he still can't be seen because the windows always block line of sight, never changes. Whereas with this, it says if you're within, you can be shot as normal. And what counts as within terrain? They don't count bases because Games Workshop don't make terrain on bases, so you've got to take the terrain abstractly and it's as it is. You don't, if you put it on a piece of wood, it looks amazing, you've bordered it, you've like sanded it or whatever, looks nice. I love it. I love putting terrain on bases. However, I don't think the bases actually do anything, and normally people play them as they do, but realistically, according to these rules, you shouldn't, because that's not how they have been written for. They've been written for pieces of terrain. Terrain don't come on bases. If I've got my Marine up against the wall on the inside, does this count as being in the terrain? He's touching the wall. I'd say yes. So if he's touching the wall, he can shoot through the window, but he can also be shot back. But how far back does he have to be where he's not in the terrain, but he's behind it so it can block line of sight? Is it just away, not touching the wall? Is it over, like, outside? So normally in tournaments, when people ask me what counts as within, what I say is draw a straight line, an imaginary line between the two corners, if you've got like an L shape like this. And then if you're on that bit, then you get cover save. If you're not, you're not. So for this obscuring rule, do I have to be outside of the magical line? I've made that rule up. So what counts as within? And that's something that needs to be addressed, I think. Again, we don't know the full rules of how terrain works, so they might say in the book that if you're touching the terrain, you're in it. I don't know. But then if you're touching the terrain and you touch it on the other side, are you in cover? I don't know. What we need to hear is what counts as being in cover and what doesn't count when you have ruins and stuff like that. If you have a piece of area terrain, like a crater, like forests on a bay, because they do sell Citadel woods, still come on bases, I think. They did last time I checked. They're quite easy to know what's in cover and what's not, because they have a base. If you're touching the base or in the base, then you get it. Whereas a ruin, which is just an L shape, what counts as within? And I think that's quite an important thing to be addressed. They've also gone over what ruins count as. They are area terrain. So again, does it have to have a base? Don't think so, but what does it count as? It has some traits. It has light cover and obscuring, which we already know. It also has scalable, breachable, and defensible. So scalable, imagine you can climb it. Breachable and defensible, I don't really know. I've got no idea. Again, with armored containers, they are obstacles. So now we said obstacles provide light cover to infantry, beasts, and swarm. So it has light cover, scalable, and exposed position. Again, scalable, I imagine it can be climbed by infantry as normal. And then exposed position, maybe if you stood on that, you don't get the light cover because you stood on it. I don't know. What do you think? Let me know in the comments. They've also shown 2 examples. I'm only going to look at the better one of a battlefield. So we're looking at the second one. So this is a strike force on a 44 by 60 inch map. Hashtag small ball gang. Cut your bottom out. So this is kind of like showing what a battlefield should look like. This has got an average amount of terrain. To me personally, it looks really bare, but we don't really know how the game works. So compared to 8th edition, where you want to have a competitive game, this looks a little bit empty to me. But it's because it doesn't have 2 big L's in the center. It does have a couple of L's, but it doesn't have 2 big L shapes in the center. So to me, it looks bare. But it's going to be quite interesting. It said it's mainly ruins. It's got some sector mechanica stuff. It's got some little ground stuff. I don't know if that's going to have rules or they're going to be counted as hills. And I don't, even though the crates are stacked on top of each other, I don't think that'll make them obscuring. I think you'll just have to count each crate as its own thing. And then they address the minimum board size thing. We've gone over that. We're not going to go over it again. So to me, the terrain rules sound really good. We need more information before we say that they're amazing. But to me, it sounds like they made some really good changes compared to you get a cover save or you don't. It does sound like they're a little bit more involved, a little bit more intense. You're going to have to set up all these keywords at the start of the game and remember them. But I think what we'll probably see is we'll see some quite common ones. We'll see like ruins be used a lot. We'll see crates used a lot, and maybe woods. But it all depends what sort of terrain you have at home. And I mainly use ruins, crates, and woods. So I don't really know what else. And maybe sometimes I use rocks, but I'm not really sure what rules I'd give rocks. But we need to know all the traits. They said there's 10 or more, I think. I think they said there was 10 that you can choose from. So we've seen 3 already, and they've mentioned another 3. So there's only 4 left to choose from. So it does sound interesting. I don't know. What are they going to bring back? Dangerous terrain back? I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know. So they've also gone over aircraft and strategic reserve. So aircraft is essentially planes, unless you're a Helldrake, which is what's featured in the art. But a Helldrake's not an aircraft. It's just an angry dragon thingy. Whenever an aircraft model arrives from strategic reserve, you can choose to set it up anywhere on the battlefield that's more than 9 inches away from enemy models, facing any direction, instead of setting it up wholly within 6 inches of a particular battlefield edge. So this is kind of like referring to strategic reserves being essentially to outflank, where you come on 6 inches from the edge of the battlefield but more than 9 away, but this says you can deploy anywhere. So essentially, planes can deep strike when fly off the board and then come back on. This is basically what it's saying. Aircraft models can never declare a charge in the turn they arrive from strategic reserves, but otherwise follow all normal rules for models arriving from strategic reserves. So currently most aircraft can't charge. I don't know if there is any aircraft that can charge unless you go into hover, for example, like Storm Ravens can go into a hover type mode and then they can charge, but then when it comes to their normal movement, they are now aircraft again, so they can't charge. Very interesting. But it sounds like you'll be able to fly off the board and then essentially deep strike or come down from the sky, which is quite interesting and a really nice change. So in 7th edition they didn't call it strategic reserves, they called it ongoing reserves, where if a plane flew off it had to come on back from your board edge, which made sense balance wise but also didn't make sense lore or like functionality wise. So essentially you had to like fly around and then come back on itself. But this sounds pretty cool, and it means you can't charge, which is fine. But it could be quite nasty. Come down turn 2, for example. If you turn 1, you fly straight off, and then turn 2, deep strike behind characters. I don't know. Quite interesting. Very interesting. They've also given some aircraft special rules, essentially. So if you have an aircraft, then these are some of the rules. A lot of these we've already seen already because they're kind of in the game now, but they've clarified some, changed a couple of things up, which sounds like only for the better. Models can move within an enemy's aircraft engagement range. So you can essentially move within 1 inch. This is basically what it means. Models can move over aircraft and their bases when they make any kind of move. So we kind of already seen that with aircraft now. So essentially you've got to ignore the base when you move in. You can just move over it. You can't end your move on it, but you ignore it. And you can end within 1 inch of the model, but not be in combat by the sounds of it. Aircraft can make a normal move or an advance when within engagement range of enemy models. So this basically covers the aircraft's backside when someone moves within 1 inch just to move, and then you'd be like, well, you can't advance because you're in combat. So they've covered that, which is nice. And then they've said basically the same for the other unit. So if you're within 1 inch of the aircraft, you're not technically in combat. That's basically what they're saying. You can move and advance as normal as long as you're not also within 1 inch of another unit, which would be counted as being combat, which is, they've said engagement range is within 1 inch. And then when a model performs a heroic intervention, piles in or consolidates, ignore aircraft unless the model is moving, can fly. So what you found, it actually came up in a tournament one where he had a character within 3 inches of a flyer. The character didn't have fly, but technically you could intervene into the model with heroic intervention into the flyer. I think it was a character dreadnought, if I remember rightly. So he intervened with the dreadnought. The dreadnought couldn't attack the flyer. It actually happened in a battle report as well. It was Space Wolves versus Orcs. Me and Tank for the Beast Rises one. So you could intervene into the flyer, but you couldn't attack the flyer because you don't have fly, but you can intervene into it, which is very strange. So intervene, if you're within 3 inches, you can move and then fight in combat usually. So I like how they've made it so you basically ignore it, so aircraft don't trigger heroic intervention, which is good and bad because it means you can drop them within 1 inch and then shoot characters, but also the characters can't do anything. But at the same time, you can get really janky with heroic interventions and stuff like that. Again, getting rid of some of the field bads, which I agree with. I totally agree with. And they've kind of gone over which units are going to get the aircraft keyword. I believe they already have the aircraft keyword, which is essentially flyers. So these are some of the aircraft they've gone over, and they said that these are going to be found in the core book. So all those changes sound really good. A lot of it we've already had some. Basically, it's what we have already, but with some clarifications, such as moving within 1 inch and moving over bases and the heroic intervention malarkey. So a lot of good changes there. I'm really chuffed with that. What do you guys think? Do you like the idea of the aircraft? Are you going to be able to? Are you going to use some aircraft in your games? Because basically they're hardly used unless you're a Crimson Hunter or a Void Raven or whatever. And then today for me, yesterday for you, we we're treated to the reveal of the Indomitus box, which is the new launch box, they've called it. So this isn't a starter box. They kind of made that very clear. This is a box that's on launch for existing Warhammer fans, essentially. So it doesn't give you dice, doesn't give you rulers or anything. It gives you the core rulebook, gives you a bunch of models, how to build them, etc. But it doesn't give you any of the starter set stuff, you know, like it doesn't give you one of them plastic rulers and some dice and stuff. So they showed some awesome cinematics. Oh! 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 What the fuck was that? They've also showed what's in the box, and there were a lot of leaks, so most people kind of knew what was in the box anyway, but it's nice to see it all in its glory. It does look really cool. I'm really excited for this, because I have a Necron army now. I also have Space Marine, so I used to play Necrons when I was a little bit younger. Do you play Necrons? Let me know. Necrons are cool. So I'm going to flash some images on screen. I don't want to dwell on it, because it could be I could have made a whole video about this, but there you go. We got the Primaries Captain. He's got a funny head. It's a visor up. You can give him another head. Don't you worry. There's 3 head options. It's visor up, visor down, or no helmet at all. We've seen the Primaries Lieutenant already. He's pretty sexy. We then got the Primaries Chaplain, who I thought from the leaks, obviously I didn't see leaks because leaks aren't real, who I thought from just a random thought. I thought this guy was going to be Chaplain Cassius, but it turns out he's not. It's just a chaplain, which is fine. He is an epic chaplain, probably one of my favorites. I think someone on stream said he was in Terminator armor, but he's obviously not in Terminator armor. Something about T800 Terminator armor or something like that. It doesn't say anything in the article. Did you hear anything? Let me know. We've got the Judicia, it's pronounced, not Judicar. Judicia, it's Judicia. He looks really cool. This is essentially what they're doing is they're adding chaplain hierarchy, which sounds really cool. I really like the idea of that. Having multiple chaplains chilling, but under chaplains and over chaplains, for example. Then we've got the Blade Guard veterans. We've kind of already gone over these already. We've got the Blade Guard Ancient, who a lot of people are saying he's basically carrying Dawn, because they've got his skeleton and now they're carrying his hand as well. We've then got Eradicators, basically Devastator Aggressors. So they've got Gravis Armor, they've got some sort of melter. It will probably be a souped up melter gun, kind of like you get the souped up Hellblaster's plasma. I think that'll be pretty cool. I'm going to say it's one shot at 30-inch range or something like that. AP 17, strength 8, d6 damage. I don't know. What do you guys think? I think they look really cool. They do look a little bit lighter than the Gravis stuff, but I think that's just because they don't have power fists. So I think they look really cool. Eradicators are epic. And then we've got the Assault Intercessors. We've kind of already seen these. I've converted some of these up, and then I've just had them painted as well. I'm really, really chuffed with them. So I've got 5 already before anyone. Booyah. And then we've got the Outriders, which again we've kind of gone over already. I did make a video about these, and I thought they would have heavy bolters in the front because I looked at the shape, and then I realized that all bolt rifles are that same shape. I did leave a comment as a clarification. It was the video where we went over what the rules might be for them and how many points they might be. The points are going to be completely off now because we know that all points are being changed, but I reckon they're going to have bolt rifles or the assault type bolters in there. But again, they could have heavy bolters because they will ignore the heavy penalty because they're not infantry. I don't know. I don't think they are. What guns do you think they are? I think I'm going to say they're more like bolt rifles now, on second reflection. And then we saw the Necrons. So I went over some of these in the Hellstormwargaming Premium Community group, which you can join if you are part of the Premium Community, whether you're a Primaris member, bam bam, or whether you are part of the website or Patreon. I thought this could have been Anrikia because of the thing on his hand, but it turns out that's just a Tachyon arrow, a very, very age-old, broken piece of equipment from 7th edition, which is like basically a one-shot las cannon, but there you go. But he's really cool. I love the size of his war scythe. That's pretty epic. We've got the Royal Warden, which essentially looks like an immortal. He's part of the Royal Guard of Necrons. Don't know what he's going to do. I imagine he's going to be similar to a Necron Lord. A Necron Lord is essentially a lieutenant for Necrons. Then we've got Plasmancers, which are very interesting. They've said they're basically wizards, but not wizards. They use plasma, but it might look like wizardry to someone else. So maybe Necrons are going to get some psychic type powers that work a little bit differently that maybe can't be denied because it's plasma, it's not psychic. We've got the Crypto Thralls. These are pretty cool. I don't know what they are. The little angry murder buckets they've been called. I totally agree. They are little angry murder buckets. So essentially these are going to be like little bodyguards for your Cryptex. Because your Cryptex are usually pretty bad in combat. They only get like 1 attack. But these look like they're going to be like protectors of the Cryptex. We've then got the Scorpec Lord. So essentially a new type of Destroyer Lord. They've saying that there's multiple types of destroyers now rather than just one, which is pretty cool. So this is obviously like tripedal. And he's got a big massive cannon and a big sword. We've seen him already. Don't know what he's going to do though. And then we've got the Scorpec Destroyers to go with them. So we've got Scorpec. And we've also been showed Locust. We'll go over that in a few moments. We've got the Plasma Sight. He's beauty. But he powers up the destroyers. I don't know. Bloody cool. We got the Canoptech Reanimator, pretty sexy. Looks like War of the Worlds. He makes things get back up. We got some new Scarabs and we got some new Warriors, which we've kind of already seen. Then it said that the core book is this artwork is pretty nice. It's also limited to Indomitus box. So there's basically said that the Indomitus box is a launch box. It's not a starter box, so it is limited run. So if you are wanting one, then be quick. I wouldn't mess about. They've also gone over some other new models. So as you can see, we've got the Invader ATV, which is looking pretty sexy and definitely not memeable. I actually really like this, but I'm a Space Marine fanboy. It does. I think this is the one model that's splitting the community a little bit. A lot of people are saying it looks cool. A lot of people are saying it looks daft. What do you think? We got a Fire Strike servo turret. It looks like a tarantula. I think they used to have something like this in Space Crusade. Looks cool. I don't know. It's just whatever. It's not. It doesn't do anything for me, but it's not bad, I don't think. But then we've seen the Locust heavy destroyer. So this is essentially what I imagine the new destroyer is going to look like. So a little bit chunkier than before, especially this heavy one. We have seen it with this gun, but we've also seen it with another gun as well. So a little bit. Maybe it's got a couple of weapon options. That might be quite cool. We've seen the Canoptech Doomstalker. So this is essentially the reanimator, but if you gave it a gun.
They were tractors. And someone said, stick a on that, lad.
And it's called a Doomsday Blaster, not a Doomsday Cannon. So I think it's going to be like a weaker version. And that's it. So they're all the new models. If you missed those, you probably didn't, but there we go. And that's it. So lots of interesting changes, new models, new aircraft rules, new terrain rules. Quite interesting. What do you guys think? Are you happy with some of the changes we've seen so far? Is there anything you don't like? Which is your favorite model from the new box set? I don't know. I'm gonna ask you loads of questions. Please comment down below. It really helps with the interaction. The more interactions we get, the more we get promoted, and that's what we want. If you're part of Small Board Gang, then please join and become a member today. We have 3 levels. We have guilt-free ad block, we have Tactical Marine to get your emotes, and then we have Primaries, which when we do 9th edition content, you will be able to see all of our bat reps that we are normally put on our website, hellstormwargaming.co.uk. So essentially the videos that go onto hellstormwargaming.co.uk will also be available for Primaries members as well. Please do consider supporting. It really means a lot, especially in these scary times, and a lot of you know my personal situation, so if you can help out, that'd be really cool. Otherwise, please subscribe if you can. We're trying to hit 15k. We might hit it before this video. I've got a cool announcement, but also if you're still watching, at 2 PM today, 2 PM British summertime, me and Danny are going to be playing a live battle report right here on YouTube, where you can watch me and him go head to head on the new size battle mat and using all of the new rules that we already know about. So if you want to watch that, then do come along and watch that. It's 2 PM, it's live. It's going to be like 1800 points, I think, if I remember rightly. So it's going to be like almost 9th edition battle report. Again, join Small Board Gang, cut your battle mats, and hopefully we'll see you in the next one. See you later.